What about Rina? Rina Sawayama. She a star to you?
That's a great question. Saw Rina Sawayama live, Hold the Girl tour, the last stop on the North American leg of that tour in Boston at Roadrunner. My first time at that venue. This was a rescheduled show, supposed to have happened early November, but Rena had to reschedule a number of shows last month because she lost her voice. So just had to put them off for a little bit. But I think that's a great question. Is Rina Sawayama a star? Because if you recall, the second album, Hold the Girl, did not have those album sales that we were hoping to see from someone's second album after a lot of critical acclaim and popularity online. Didn't seem to be bearing out in the mainstream. However, I think the fact that she can tour the United States and sell out 3,000 person rooms across the country is the most important thing when it comes to evaluating an artist's actual like degree of success, right? Um, she does have that fan base, and that's also the way that an artist actually makes money. So in the grand scheme, I think she's doing just fine. And I had wanted to see Rena last spring this year, which was a postponed COVID show. It was her first show in Boston. But that was like a club show that had been sold out like, before the pandemic happened and before she really like took off in the US. So this was, I think, her return to like the touring and like her current status as an artist. So happy to see it, and thought she was really great. I think what stood out to me right away was her vocals were just really stable live. Like I thought she sang great and did a thing that we've talked about before. I think a lot of people experience in their lives where you see an artist in person, and those songs that you know from the studio recordings are actually livened or better and more enjoyable in that live setting. People can check our review of Hold the Girl, the album, youtube.com/nostalgiapod. We had mixed feelings on it. I think partially because it wasn't quite as experimental and forward looking as her debut album Sawayama was. Not necessarily that it was bad, but it just felt a bit safer, not as exciting, right? However, a lot of those songs that we weren't like super impressed with, I thought were awesome live. I was really digging it. Songs like
Mm.
Catch Me in the Air, Hold the Girl title track, Hurricanes, like she was like ripping into it. I think the live drums and the live guitar like were such a huge help too. Like that was like my first takeaway was I thought she just really crushed it with songs that I wasn't a huge fan of. Even like the slower stuff too, like Bad Friend off the first album and like Send My Love to John, like the ballady stuff. It's like, she's just like a really great singer. Like it just is like really happening. Um I
That
think over
that's great to hear too, especially when she takes some time off for the vocal fry.
yeah. No, totally. And I think what's a really cool touch too is like you wouldn't like consider Rina Sawayama like a huge like dancer. She's not. But like the dancing is like I think just like staged enough, just like theatrical enough with the two backup dancers with her. And along those lines, she did an outfit change in sync with every like genre switch she did with the set list. As we know from the two Rina albums, and I think a big reason why Rena got so popular and well liked critically was that range of music she has, right? So going from like that power rock stuff to the straight up new metal 2000s stuff to then the more like ballady vocal pop, and then of course ending with like This Hell, which is like throwback country pop. Like it was really cool to see her like switch her persona, switch her outfit across the performance and have that match the actual like level of music she was doing. Most artists can't do that, right? Because like they don't have that genre range. But that was like
Yeah,
really cool thing I noticed like in the moment.
man. It sounds like she, for someone who is still on the rise, is pretty confident in terms of how she's like framing these live shows, how she's going about like executing it, and the fact that she like levels up the performance live is such a good, I think a good sign of her true artistry. I think when you go and you hear songs and they don't really pop as much live, you're kind of you should be a little suspicious about how good this artist actually is.
Totally, I totally agree. Yeah, and then I think like at the end of the day, like it was cool to just be in a big room of people that like really know Rena's music. Songs like "Como de Garçons" explode when you're in a room of
Yeah.
Rena fans. Excess as well. Um, comes back out for the encore, does This Hell. A bunch of people were wearing cowboy hats to the show, getting in the spirit. Uh, yeah, man, it was a great time. I thought she was really good. Definitely will see her again when that next album comes around. And yeah, like it honestly like made me like reconsider some of my thoughts about the album, which I never thought
Ah,
like I would think. But yeah, I thought she was really great. And overall, I've been a huge fan of hers, and she's going to go tour this in Europe now into the new year. But I'm curious to see like what's next, right? Because on this album or on this tour, she always did like a cover spot, and she for the last show in the U.S. she did what apparently her crew said was like the best cover she's been doing all year, which is Brandy Carlisle's "The Story." And she said
ah.
she actually met Brandy Carlisle backstage at Elton John's show and like could barely speak because she was like like so starstruck and stuff. But we've seen Rena like working with people like Charlie. I wonder like can she like really ascend to that next level of stardom? Because as this tour is established, like she has like real fans, she's a very successful artist. But like I wonder if like if she can like really push forward to like some like huge collaborations. I wonder if the next cycle we'll see something like that. Time will tell.
It'll be fascinating to see. She needs that mainstream album to kind of grab people. So hopefully the next one has a little bit more popular appeal.